disability, which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Rick Lawrence, and for the next hour I'll be reading from the July 10th, 2026, Volume 2 issue of the Tribune Sentinel, covering Niagara County and Grand Island on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Here's the lead article from the issue. The headline is Niagara Falls State Park offers many free and low-cost options, making for perfect staycation. From the Experience Niagara Falls State Park and Idols office. It shows a really pretty picture of what looks like an expanded postage stamp, full page, about the top half, showing the falls on the American and the Canadian sides. You know, that shot that shows the rainbow and the Maid of the Mist cruising by. Really lovely picture. And the text of the article is as follows. With prices rising in, well, just about everything, now is the perfect time to take a vacation to Niagara Falls State Park. That place you visited on a second-grade field trip is easier and more affordable to visit. And with new attractions in place, visitors can experience Niagara Falls in ways they never imagined. Niagara Falls State Park is free to the public, and that includes up-close and personal views of the majestic waterway at Terrapin Point, Luna Island, and Three Sisters Islands. What distinguishes the U.S. side of the falls is, quote, this is a whole different experience. You're in it, you're around it, you're next to it, says Angela Bertie, Director of Public Affairs for the State Operation, Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historical Preservation, Niagara Region. If you really want to feel it, come here. Though Niagara may have a more Instagram-worthy view, they can see it, they can feel it, Bertie said. Native flowers and plants are in full bloom, and I've never seen a more pretty sight, Bertie said. I think we've hit our stride in how to manage the new landscaping and the infrastructure, and I think it's never looked prettier. We've really got a strong horticultural team in place. All of this landscaping is relatively new. It's gorgeous, she said. She added, people are willing and welcome to come in for research appointments if they're interested in coming in and doing research or learning more and going through these documents. We're open for any visit that you might be able to arrange. Locals are willing to do that, welcome to do that, rather, if the exhibit's not their thing or they want to learn more and do more with us. Bertie pointed out how, around the world, people save money their whole lives to come here, and while those individuals will have to pay for transportation, lodging, and meals, amongst other things, you could come in here, walk around for free, spend an entire day, and not spend a dime, Bertie said. Here are some popular and affordable options. What to do? Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Welcome Center at Niagara Falls State Park, free to visit. And then 2 new attractions opened inside the center. One is called Voices of the Falls. That's also free. It's a $4.4 million permanent interactive exhibit exploring the past, present, and future of Niagara Falls. And that includes the park and the surrounding community and the voices of those who have been part of its history, featuring first-person perspectives, historical narratives, artifacts, hands-on interactive and video presentations. The newly designed 5,000-square-foot exhibit highlights the cultural, environmental, and personal connections that have formed the nation's oldest state park. Stories from the indigenous who first inhabited the land, to the Underground Railroad, to the tragedy of Love Canal, as well as the flora and fauna of the park, are included and will provide visitors with a richer view of the park beyond the waterfall. Additional elements of the project include outdoor models, a lenticular mural, and signage. Ms. Bertie said the following: we in Niagara Falls worked very, very closely with the community on this exhibit. When we did the content for this, we created a co-creation group. It was the Tuscarora and Seneca, and we met every single week for 2 to 3 years, where they told the stories. They put the stories together. We said, what do you want the world to know? So what you see is in their words, their stories, instead of us trying to do that. Call-outs to Old Fort Niagara and the Castellani Art Museum encourage guests to extend their stay and discover more of Niagara regional history. The creative team sought first-person accounts for the Welcome Center attraction so that it's more meaningful and tells a better story. There is another exhibit above the roar, which would be a good sensory exhibit. The state park's licensed concession partner, Delaware North, teamed with award-winning experiential design and media production firm MDSH on Above the Roar, a 4-minute ride providing an incredible look at the falls. The fully immersive, multi-sensory virtual reality experience takes participants on a thrilling journey around the most powerful waterfall in North America. Through extensive and exclusive aerial footage, motion-enhanced seating, and immersive sound, participants soar along the U.S. side of the Niagara River, just above the rapids, and then over the American Bridal Falls and Horseshoe Falls, before gliding through the gorge and plunging into the depths below. There, under the water, encounter 7 species of fish that are native to the river before returning to the brink of the American Falls and ending up back in the visitor center. The room that houses the VR ride is tricked out with lights and music to further enhance the experience. A moving chair serves as a vehicle for the adventure, so it sounds like it's an experience for many senses. The room that houses the VR ride, therefore, is very well equipped with this moving chair vehicle setup. And the Niagara Falls General Manager Michael Barnes has said, the park has 2 iconic attractions. It has for years, and now there are different experiences. The Cave of the Winds, the Maid of the Mist. I challenge these guys for something that's not like those experiences, and that's what that is. It takes you where you can't go. Indeed, even those who frequent Niagara Falls State Park haven't seen it from this vantage point, but the ride is more than just thrilling. It's subtle, but the script in there goes through a lot of the history and the information on the falls. The Welcome Center Plaza is also free. Outside of the Welcome Center Plaza, there is a wayfinding map that points out attractions both in Niagara Falls State Park and the city of Niagara Falls. On the outside of a dedicated restroom building, guests can take a picture in front of a lenticular mural. Native American art and history lines the periphery, and a reconfigured staircase doubles as a beautiful gateway to the water. The courtyard will feature music and special events throughout the summer. Another feature of the park is the Niagara Region Archive, which is also free. That one has a rare opportunity to look at history. It looks like there's some large graphics in there which should be more easy to visualize. For more information about this aspect of what the exhibit is featuring, you can make an appointment by emailing Courtney Gerhardt at parks.newyork.gov. Include research request in the subject line. It's Courtney, Courtney .Gerhardt, Geerhart, at parks.newyork.gov. The lobby displays change each year and highlight a particular theme. This summer, the pieces on display are tied to Power and Revolution, the history of power in Niagara. And it's the idea of the history of power in Niagara Falls specifically, and how that affected the falls and the park. The dichotomy of preservation versus the power industry, and how there was kind of a clash at times, but also worked together to provide power for the community, she says. Bertie emphasized the historical value of Niagara Falls State Park. This is more than just water falling over rocks. We say it over at the Cave of the Winds. The world changed here. That is fact. A lot happened here. There would be no public parks if it weren't for this place. She added, people come from all over. They write about it. They paint it. They photograph it. And it's in our backyard. Another attraction is something called Crow's Nest. That's also for free. It's one of the most unique views of Niagara Falls, coming from the area near the Prospect Point Park Observation Tower. State Parks is overseeing creation of a new crow's nest and targeting a late August reopening. It's coming along. It's going to be, I would say, on par with the Cave of the Winds in terms of access to the falls. For people walking right alongside the water, it's an amazing view. That might be a very amazing visual experience too, sensory-wise. The existing platform area isn't optimized for viewing, let alone picture-taking. When finished, the new and improved Crow's Nest will connect the overlook with the area near where guests board the Maid of the Mist. During peak season, this elevator alternative also will help with moving people out of the attraction area. In the shoulder months, it will be a two-way staircase. Further under the subheading of this article is the following. It's more affordable than you think. That, of course, is a very germane part of the article for you. Of course, there's a fee to take part in Niagara Falls State Park's two most iconic attractions, but the price is less than 2 movie tickets or leaving a vehicle in downtown Buffalo on event nights. Quote, the Cave of the Winds is one. Ticket price fluctuating depend upon the time of the year, with adult passes ranging from $14 to $23. Youth entry starts at $10 and increases to $19. State Parks is offering a new Cave and Save promotion, wherein cave goers can save on admission tickets to the Aquarium of Niagara Falls. The other savings sections of the exhibit are Old Fort Niagara, Rainbow Air Helicopter Tours, and Niagara Virtual Experience, and Frank Lloyd Wright's Martin House. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the Tribune Sentinel covering Niagara County and Grand Island on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. We're looking at the issue of Friday, July 10th of 2026. Going on in their information about pricing for this experience, the Maid of the Mist ticket is just $30.25 for adults, $19.75 for youth ages 6 through 12, and that includes a souvenir rain poncho, a favorite for celebrities, athletes, and dignitaries for more than 100 years. The tour boat ferries past the base of the American Falls and onto the basin of the Horseshoe Falls, the dramatic passage leading you through the roiling waterfall, whitewater, and massive rock formations. The Niagara Falls State Park website notes that the Maid of the Mist returns guests to shore with newfound appreciation of the power and grandeur of Niagara Falls. For years, a sticking point for locals interested in exploring Niagara Falls has been the price to park, but it's actually only $10 on Goat Island. Moreover, you can park for free at the Shulkoff Power Station, Rollins site. Is that Rollins? Oh, it's state. Here's what it says. Park for free at the Shulkoff Power Station Ruins site and walk or take a trolley into Niagara Falls State Park. The former Shulkoff Power Generation Station also offers free access to the Niagara Gorge. Or park for a nominal fee at the Aquarium of Niagara and walk or take a trolley into the park, or take the free Discover Niagara shuttle. Looking under the heading Town of Niagara, understanding the move to a single tax rate, showing a picture of Sylvia Virtuoso, the Town of Niagara supervisor. And the article is as follows. The Town of Niagara is taking steps to eliminate its current two-tier property tax system and replace it with a single tax rate for both residential and business property owners. This change follows the town's comprehensive reassessment, which brought properties to full and fair assessed value, including commercial properties throughout the town. The town board unanimously approved a new local law to rescind the existing homestead and non-homestead rate structure. The law would take effect when the town certifies its assessment roll on July 1st. Following last year's reassessment, the difference between the total taxable values for homestead and non-homestead properties was reduced to a minimal amount. That made it possible for the town to move toward one uniform rate. Although there was not enough time last year to complete the required process, including a public hearing, the town board chose to move forward this year in anticipation that the assessments would remain at 100% and support the transition to a single rate. The town of Niagara is currently the only town in Niagara County that still uses a two-tier tax rate system, aside from the city of Niagara Falls. Moving to a single rate will bring the town more in line with the rest of Niagara County's municipalities. Ms. Virtuoso is also indicating the following: I'm also sharing the tax rate for municipalities across Niagara County so taxpayers can better understand the differences among communities, including which municipalities are assessed at 100%, which have different tax rates, and which pay a separate refuse rate. At this time, Town of Niagara residents do not pay a refuse tax, and our county tax rate remains among the lowest. However, as long as Republic Services remains open, the town will not need to levy a refuse tax. With Republic's eventual closure approaching, it is important for residents to understand that a refuse tax will likely become necessary in the future. She says, wishing everyone a safe summer. And from the Clerk's Corner, that's Tamara Burns. Her picture appears at this article in the town clerk's corner, where it's written, Burns provides Town of Lewiston updates. The 2027 final assessment roll for the Town of Lewiston has been completed, and a certified copy is now available for viewing until August 1 in the Town of Lewiston Assessor's Office. The final roll may also be viewed online at https://www.niagaracounty.gov/realproperty/. The town highway department is no longer picking up loose grass clippings curbside. Please bag the clippings and place them at the curb for pickup on your regular collection day. Residents are allowed to place a total of 5 bags and/or cans out for collection each week. Grass clippings would be included in that total. Highway department crews have started their paving schedule. Highway Superintendent Michael Weiss asks for your patience and regard for the workers' safety while they're in your area. Any questions can be directed to the Highway Department at 716-754-8218. And under upcoming community events, Ms. Burns indicates the following. 1. Enjoy food, music, and community at the Niagara County Italian Festival on July 17th through 19th at Academy Park in Lewiston. 2. The Upward Niagara Chamber of Commerce, located at 895 Center Street, will host a blood drive through Connect Life in the parking lot on Friday, July 17th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And 3. The Sanborn Area Park Museum Festival. That'll be held July 25th and 6th and feature the tractor parade. There'll be fun activities for kids and all ages. Here are some interesting items from the Real Help for Your Health portion of the Gazette, presented by Dr. Glenda R. Rose, chiropractor. This is under the neck rules. Here's the first one. Number 1, do not lie on the sofa to watch TV. Sit up properly. Number 2, do not prop your head up or forward on high pillows when reading or watching TV. 3, never sleep on your stomach or with your arms above your head. Lie on your side and adjust the pillow so head and neck are in a neutral position, not bent. Number 4, if you sleep on your back, put the support of the pillow under your neck, not under your head. A regular pillow should not be more than 3 to 4 inches thick. 5, If you have neck problems, use a contour cervical pillow designed to support the natural curvature of the neck. Number 6, never sleep in a car or on a plane without neck support. Number 7, never sleep in a recliner chair or on a couch, as these do not support the spine properly. When you get tired, go to bed. Number 8, isometric exercises by pushing against your head can aggravate already existing neck problems. Number 9, rolling your head in a circle can aggravate some neck problems. So if you notice any problem, discontinue. Number 10, do not reach for a shelf higher than your head. Stand on a stool. Number 11, do not reach or look up for any length of time. The article goes on to say the suggestion, should you have a pain in your neck, call 716-754-9039. That's Rose Chiropractic PC, a natural health care practice focusing on health improvement through chiropractic and nutrition response testing. This, by the way, is under neck rules and is in a section that seems to be devoted to special types of health recommendations. Here is an article about our new mayor in the village of Lewiston, Dan Cota, C-O-T-A. There's a photograph of him opposite the Honorable Hugh G-E-E, who is in the process of being sworn into office on Monday, July 5th, by the judge. He was joined in this picture by his wife, Francesca, and their daughter, Rami, who is holding the Bible as the new mayor places his hand on it. And here's the article. New Village of Lewiston Mayor, Board Set Goals for Next Year, by Joshua Maloney, the managing editor of the GM. Upon being sworn into office on Monday, new Village of Lewiston Mayor Dan Cota and his board, including new Deputy Mayor Tina Copens and Trustee Leandro Colasano, set their sights on some lofty new initiatives intended to increase communication between elected leaders and community members. Far from easing into their first term in office together, these board members and returning trustees Nick Condi and Jim Fatant, F-I-T-A-N-T-E, voted to create new committees and review systems. New committees. The Teen Advisory Committee was set in place as the Village of Lewiston seeks to provide opportunities for youth to participate in community discussions, share ideas, and offer recommendations on village programs, events, public spaces, and other community initiatives, while fostering civic engagement, leadership, volunteerism, and community involvement. Per the approved motion, the committee will determine its own membership and leadership structure, with administrative support and coordination provided through the village recreation director, so that youth members are given a meaningful opportunity to develop civic participation, leadership, responsibility, and self-governance. This group will report to the village board on a quarterly basis. Cota explained, "This is important, I believe, in developing teens and starting to build a feed line for us to have more community and civic-minded people." He noted the committee is open to Village of Lewiston youth aged 10 to 17. Those chosen will work with Recreation Director Brenda McDermott. "If we didn't have such a strong person in that position, I don't think this teen initiative would be able to go forward as quickly as it's going to be moving forward now," Cota said of McDermott. He emphasized, "It's about their voice. It's not about duplicating us." The Master Plan Advisory Committee. That was created because the Village of Lewiston recognizes the importance of long-range planning to guide future growth, development, infrastructure, investment, land use, environmental stewardship, economic development, and community quality of life. The current master plan should be reviewed and updated to reflect changing community needs, demographic trends, economic conditions, and resident priorities. Meaningful public participation and stakeholder engagement are essential components of a successful planning process. That was a quotation that is from the incoming mayor of the village of Lewiston, Dan Cota. The article goes on to say, this group, the Master Plan Advisory Committee, will assist in the development, review, and recommendation of an updated master plan for the village of Lewiston. It will have 7 members, each one appointed by trustees and representing a diverse cross-section of the community, including residents, business owners, property owners, community organizations, and other stakeholders that are deemed appropriate. He goes on to say that master planning and looking at everything entails everything, all the way from how the streets are landscaped and set up and designed to how pedestrians cross them, to our zoning access and our zoning across the village, and whether or not it's working any longer, Cota said. It's a lot of impact in a lot of different areas, but it's important to get it done and get it done right with a lot of community feedback. Under a new initiatives portion of his speech, or his informal talk on swearing in, was the Waterfront Improvement, Dock System Review, and Fishing Industry Support Initiative, which authorizes the mayor to conduct a comprehensive review of the existing dock system, immediate waterfront access needs, and potential long-term waterfront improvements, including whether simply repairing the docks in the same design is the most reasonable approach, or whether there should be a long-term solution to avoid a yearly cycle of costly repairs. This review shall also include improvements that support public access, boating, and the fishing industry, which generates roughly $5 million a year in regional economic activity and contributes to the overall year-round health of the village economy. This authorization permits the gathering of information, public input, cost estimates, and funding opportunities only. No capital expenditures or contracts were or will be authorized by this motion. The article on the swearing in of the mayor includes additional statements he has made regarding an outline of some of the initiatives, including features of the trend to bolstering communication as part of government. In which case, Mr. Cota says, I believe in checks and balances on the mayor, just as much as checks and balances on anything else. He said his ideas will not exist in a vacuum. Rather, the plans he puts forward will be guided by the village board. It could be handled administratively. It's not my style, he says. There is a list of additional reappointments, which consists of Joseph Leone as law counsel, Abigail Stein and Kenneth Bedore as the Zoning Board of Appeals members, Richard Haight, Nicholas Schaefer, and Scott Lewandowski to the Planning Commission for another 2 years, Kylie Paletti and Denham Wilson to the Parks, Recreation, and Conservation Board for a 2-year term, the Niagara Tribune Sentinel, a.k.a. Lewis Porter Sentinel, as the official newspaper of the village of Lewiston. Trustees will work with the following agencies. And then there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 agencies and planning boards, including administration personnel, the Chamber of Commerce, Beautification, Art Park, Lewiston Council for the Arts, Law Enforcement, Firefighting, and Recreation and Planning Board. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the Tribune Sentinel, covering Niagara County and Grand Island on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Looking now further into the Friday, July 10th issue of the Tribunal Sentinel Dispatch, on page 4, a Grand Island bicycle race to honor cyclists. The Buffalo Bicycling Club is hosting the New York State Team Time Trial Tramp Championships in memory of Glenn Hansen for the second year on July 12th. Anyone who would like to participate is welcome to get a team of 3 or 4 riders together. The goal is to achieve one's fastest time around a loop of Grand Island. Categories include Elite, Cat 4/Novice, and Masters. These are for both men and women for the state championship title. In addition, there will be an age-based individual time trial category for races outside of the state championship title. Time trial bikes and equipment are welcome in all fields except the Cannibal road bike only category, so participants can feel free to use their time trial or triathlon equipment. As part of the Buffalo Bicycling Club's commitment to grow women's cycling, the women's fields at the USAC-sanctioned events are free. Juniors also race free in any eligible category. For more information or to register for the time trial championships, the link is given as follows: https://www.bikkery-g.com/grand-island-memory-of-glen-hand-new-york-state-t as in Thomas, lowercase, championship, period. That was quite a long quote, I know. Thank you for taking that in. Then the article goes on to talk about the Pedal for Bikes 2026 to roll again. It celebrates America 250 and the beauty of New York State parks. That's an interesting one. The Niagara region of the New York State Office of Parks and Recreation and Historic Preservation announced the third annual Biking for Parks, presented by the Maid of the Mist. It's a non-competitive, family-friendly ride that will take place on Sunday, September 10th, and start at Fort Niagara State Park. There are 3 different routes with various lengths that will take riders through Art Park, Joseph Davis, Fort Niagara, 4 Mile Creek, Wilson, Tuscarora, Devil's Hole, Whirlpool, and Niagara Falls State Park. The 100-kilometer ride goes to Golden Hill State Park. The routes for the ride will show off millions of dollars in recent investments made by the New York State Parks Consortium in partnership with the Niagara River Greenway, the New York Power Authority, the New York State Department of Transportation, and the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation in the local trail system. All proceeds will stay in Western New York and support programming in the parks. And more from the events column, the 2026 Grand Island Garden Walk. Mark your calendar for Sunday, July 12th. Of course, that event has come and gone. I hope it was a good one. It was a walk that started 10 a.m., lasted to 4 p.m., providing visitors with an opportunity to see a variety of gardens. Perhaps you were able to take that one in. And in governmental news from the Tribunal Sentinel for the July 10th week, Grand Island files suit against federal government in Seneca land transfer by Editor-in-Chief Terry Duffy. The $1 land transfer of 207 acres from Equest Development to the Seneca Nation of Indians earlier this year, has spurred a new round of legal action from the town of Grand Island. According to the online source Law 360, the town filed a lawsuit last month against the U.S. Department of the Interior, challenging its decision on the transfer. The action argues that the federal agency's ruling now impacts a number of town operational enforcement areas. Including in the suit are restrictions placed on Grand Island zoning and land use, enforcement regulations, and town easement access rights. The suit, Town of Grand Island versus United States Department of the Interior et al., case number 1:26-CV-01286, was filed June 23rd in the U.S. District Court for the Western District of New York. It follows the February decision by the U.S. Department of the Interior to place the Seneca lands into restricted fee access. Town officials contend the Seneca land, located adjacent to the I-190 on the northwest corner of Grand Island, violates the provisions of the federal government's Seneca Nation Settlement Act of 1990. Specifically, Grand Island is challenging the legalities of Interior's decision covering a restricted fee status for the new Seneca property and its impact to the town. Quote, restricted fee land is property owned by an indigenous nation where the title is held by the owner, but its sale requires DOI approval. By placing the land into the status, it is exempt from state and local taxation, close quote, the federal agency said. In its filing, the town said the Seneca property includes town easements for Grand Island drainage and infrastructure operations, including an active pump station that serves its residents. The parcel was stripped from the town's tax rolls, removed from its regulatory jurisdiction, and declared sovereign tribal territory based on a decision that doesn't qualify under the statute invoked to justify it, the town argues. As a result, Grand Island said the Interior decision now deprives the town of an annual estimated $20,000 in property tax revenue. Again, that's an annual property tax revenue amount of $20,000, and also deprives the town of its authority to enforce zoning laws, land use restrictions, and environmental protections, including wetland designations, according to Law 360. Grand Island further contends the land transfer now impacts its future growth potential. Quote, the Seneca parcel constitutes over 40% of the undeveloped commercial real estate within the town and represents one of the town's primary areas of future economic growth and development, which has now been eliminated. The town contends vacating Interior's decision would restore the town's taxing and regulatory jurisdiction over the parcel, re-enable the enforcement of the town's zoning and land use restrictions, and remove the impairment of the town's easement access rights. Attorneys Peter C. Godfrey, Daniel A. Spitzer, and Adam W. Perry of Hodgson Russ LLP are representing the town. In response to the lawsuit, the Seneca Nation said town officials are, quote, trying to deny a sovereign nation our rights and our rightful opportunities for progress and advancement, close quote, according to a recent WIVB-TV Channel 7 news report. Department of Interior officials were unavailable to comment as of the time of this article. In the Tribune Sentinel's obituary section, the name Mary Ann Crow appears. Mary Ann Crow, 93, passed away peacefully on July 4th in her home on Grand Island. Mary Ann, the only child of Kenneth and Clara Kumro, Kumro, was born June 30th, 1933. She grew up on Adams Street in Tonawanda, and she was the valedictorian of her graduating class at Mount St. Mary Academy. With a recommendation from the Sisters of St. Mary's, she was able to attend Niagara University on a scholarship. She graduated summa cum laude and received her Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree from Niagara in 1955. While at Niagara University, she met her future husband of 64 years, George F. Crow, who graduated from Niagara in 1954. They remained dedicated to education, and to Niagara through the following decades. They endowed a nursing scholarship in Niagara, and in honor of their son Terry, they endowed scholarships at both Niagara and Canisius College for ROTC students. In 2015, Mary Ann and George received the Distinguished Alumni Award for their long-term contributions to Niagara University. After graduation in 1955, Mary Ann began a nursing career in which she worked continually for almost 40 years. She specialized in gastroenterology, primarily in hospitals, including a long stint at DeGraff Memorial Hospital. Marianne had an unwavering devotion to her family. She and George raised their children on Grand Island and were active in numerous community events. After becoming a Gold Star mother in 2005, when her son Terry was killed in action in Iraq, she and George remained steadfast in their devotion to God, family, and country. Fiercely independent, she elected repeated hip surgeries in her late 80s. After her husband, George, passed in 2021, and wheelchair-bound, she continued to live in their home till the time of her death. Marianne Crow was the loving mother of Kate Olin, Peg, Randy White, Daniel G. Crow, Molly, parentheses, Jeff McRaney, and the late Lieutenant Colonel Terrence Crow, the dedicated grandmother of Jeremy J. and Clara L. Crow, Abigail C. and Cam Olin, Ryan D., parentheses, Mary, Patrick M., Margaret Mary, Kathleen Grace, and Bridget H. White, Shannon and Cassie Grace, and Sidney and Allison Crow, and proud great-grandmother of Quinn and Lila Crow. Visitation to be held at Kaiser Memorial Funeral Home on Grand Island. That visitation did take place, and the article indicated that donations may be made to the George and Mary Ann Crow Nursing Scholarship at Niagara University. And you can share condolences at kaiserfuneral.com. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the Tribune Sentinel covering Niagara County and Grand Island on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. And if any of our listeners may be interested from the classics, or rather classified sections of the Tribune Sentinel Dispatch, under Pet Place, SPCA Pet of the Week is Goku, a very, very cute, if I may say so, playful dog whose black and white photo is in this slot, brought to you by Niagara Frontier Publications on the SPCA. Here is the description. Goku is 8 months old, 45 pounds, and running on a level of energy that feels professionally sponsored. Not chaotic, not out of control, just a dog who wakes up ready to go and doesn't see much reason to stop. He's a Shepherd Greyhound mix, which means you're getting speed, curiosity, and a brain that's always looking for the next thing to do. Goku is still very much a puppy, and like a lot of teenagers, he explores the world with his mouth. Toys, hands, sleeves, if it's within reach, it's part of the investigation. Because of that, he's going to do best in a home without young kids and with people who are ready to give him structure, outlets, and a little guidance as he grows up. The upside? This is a dog who will meet you wherever you are. Hikes, runs, long play sessions, training work. He's not here for a slow-paced lifestyle. He's here for movement, engagement, and someone who appreciates a dog that lives life all the way loud. Goku would likely enjoy another playful dog who can match his energy and help burn some of it off in a healthy way. Cats are unknown at this time. He's fun, he's smart, and he's going to be a really good dog for someone who wants to put the time into him. If you are interested, please give us a call at 716-731-4368, extension 0. Under real estate, former WTS building for sale in Lewiston. Hall selling unique waterfront property, Telerico Running Point. By Joshua Maloney, the GM Managing Editor. One of the Village of Lewiston's most unique properties is for sale. Gary Hall is selling the former Chantal Hall at 435 North 2nd Street. The almost 15,000 square foot property was recently used as headquarters for Waste Technology Services, a non-asset-based waste and byproduct management company. North Star Recycling Company, LLC, announced its acquisition of WTS this fall. The building offers an assortment of rooms and is suitable for offices, recreation, or lodging, as well as a gymnasium. There is ample parking and, out back, a majestic view of the Niagara River, as well as green space leading up to the water, 267 feet of footage. In their package, real estate professionals Sam Tellerico, and Dave Pescucci have the listing, and they're working with Hall to find a buyer. In their parcel package, they noted the property features a well-maintained commercial building offering a unique blend of executive office space, residential-style layouts, and flexible commercial functionality. The layout includes multiple conference rooms, private executive offices, a full kitchen, 7 restrooms, 4 fireplaces, and a 6-bedroom configuration featuring a strong potential for corporate, hospitality, wellness, residential, or mixed-use classifications. There are not many pieces anymore on the river that they give you a feeling of frontage. The kind of word acreage comes to mind, Telerico said. He says, I mean, you might try to find 1 acre. You might find 1.5 acres, but you don't find 2.65 acres. The asking price is $4.5 million. Every time you walk in there, it just gets better each time, Pascucci said, especially now after Gary cleared a lot of the equipment out of the office space. You can see it more so as being converted to a house. On the right, the historical side of the building, Gary had his office, but each room on that side being able to see the water. And everything like that, you could see it as a bedroom and easily be converted into a residence. The finishes, it's got a modern feel, but it still has the hardwood throughout, and it just gives it a nice historical look. Gary had it designed for his business, Tellerico said, in the main area where WTS workers were located. Now that's empty. It could be a lot of other things. It could be a home theater. It could be a breakfast nook or a boutique hotel. I would say that if it's a single-family residence, it needs a kitchen. He noted, if indeed it was an office building or any other use, I think not much you'd have to do unless you wanted to do it for your business. Tellerico and Pascucci cited the oak trim and copper roof among the many amenities Hall made since purchasing the property more than 20 years ago. In ownership of the building, they said, we pretty much rewired it and added air conditioning and the like, but we actually preserved a lot of the original woodwork, and we, in areas where we couldn't preserve it, we actually sent it out to the specialty places where they actually could mold and frame and make the woodwork look just like it was originally, going back into that era, the late 1800s, when it was built in middle and late 1800s, Hall said. When you walk around and you look at the woodwork in some of the areas, the hardwood floors and things, we really took good care of it and preserved a lot of what was there originally. The article goes on to conclude, presently, the second facility at 435 North 2nd Street, the one that features tennis courts, is not available, partly because owner Gary Hall uses it to play tennis. Even more so, it's because, quotes, I'm always interested in working with the rec department and having the kids in the village have access to it. The Newport tennis team comes and practices during inclement weather during their tennis season. Both the girls and boys tennis teams are there at different times of the year. And in the past, we worked with recreation. We had the soccer program and we had a tennis program that the kids had a lot of fun with. Today, actually, Stella Niagara, every year, they have a softball game. The 2nd grade, or rather 7th grade, plays against the 8th grade. In the past years, this time of year, the weather is a little difficult to predict. And so for the last few years, they've come and played a softball game inside the tennis building. In summary, he says, the property presents a rare opportunity for its next chapter. The combination of a beautifully preserved historic structure and a spacious recreation facility makes it one of the most unique properties in Lewiston. Whether reimagined as a distinctive private residence, a mixed-use development, or a commercial venture, the possibilities are extensive. Its history, character, and versatility offer a unique opportunity for a new owner to build on a legacy that has been an important part of the community for decades. He also indicated that financing is available. Here, under the heading of Island of Hope's 25th Anniversary Honorary Survivor Joe Slachiak's story. His name is spelled Slachciak. Story and photos by senior contributing writer Alice Gerard. Relay for Life's Honorary Survivor Joe Slachiak. I hope I pronounced the name correctly, Joe. Superheroes, cooking, and YouTube are his favorites. He said he admires all superheroes, but that his favorite one is Spider-Man. He's cool and he's strong, Joe said. He solves crimes, saves people. Not only is Joe a fan of Spider-Man, he's also a fan for the actors who have portrayed Spider-Man. I like Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire, he said. Joe, who is the fourth of 7 children, is a true middle child, said his mother, Sarah Slachiak. Another thing that makes him unique is that he is her only child to have Down syndrome. She said that was her son's interest in superheroes that resulted from his being chosen to be the honorary survivor for the June 6th event. We are definitely a superhero kind of family. Joe's father, Kevin Slachiak, is the owner of Say Cheese Pizza Company and Comic Book Cafe on Love Road. Relay for Life co-chair Lynn Jingey, D-I-N-G-E-Y, reached out and asked, especially because it's a superhero theme, Sarah said. Joe was telling me that he'd like to be Spider-Man. Joe, now 18, was diagnosed with leukemia shortly before he turned 17. He spent a month in Golisano Children's Hospital at Buffalo before he went home to continue treatment on an outpatient basis, period. Because he has been undergoing treatment, Joe, who is being homeschooled, has not been able to attend the School of Two Hearts, a cooperative of homeschooled children located in Cheektowaga. Joe gets opportunity to do all sorts of different things, like culinary. He likes history there, Sarah said. Joe added he also likes math, gym, soccer, and football. In the fall, he will go back to that educational program. He is in his final phase of treatment for leukemia, she said. Pump maintenance. It will be just under a year for this stage. Joe is doing really well. He's back to going to the gym. I like push-ups, Joe said. Joe first began going to the medically oriented gym, parentheses MOG, at 1801 Grand Island Boulevard for physical therapy. But now he's graduated from physical therapy, and he's able to go to the gym with guidance, and he's enjoying that very much, Sarah said. When asked how he felt about being in the hospital, Joe said, I liked it. Joe likes the hospital, Sarah said. The nurses were all so wonderful. Joe is the best patient ever. He is so cooperative. It doesn't hurt that we have wonderful care here in Western New York, at both Roswell and at Children's. We have the best home nurse ever. Joe is just a trooper. He never complains. He takes it all in stride. It has been tough, but he has done a great job. Joe has such an exceptionally good attitude all the time anyway, and it's really been the best possible experience, if that's even a thing during cancer treatment. He's so easygoing and he is so willing. Your typical teenager would be losing their mind if they had to spend a month in the hospital without their friends and their Snapchat and all their favorite sports. Joe has always been such a happy-go-lucky kid. He can be mischievous. The type of cancer Joe has is very common amongst children with Down syndrome. They typically get it much younger. We thought we were kind of out of the woods with this. Usually they get it between the ages of 1 and 10. She goes on to say, the doctors are learning new things all the time. What works, what doesn't work. Joe happens to have this kind of leukemia at a great time because the immunotherapies are finally being improved for children. They've had great success with adults, but it takes forever to get them approved for children. Joe was able to benefit from all those years of other children maybe not having such great experiences. They didn't have the opportunity to get those drugs. Timing is a thing as well with this. Had he had this when he was younger, he would have never been able to have these treatments. He's doing great. The immunotherapy that Joe has gotten has just been approved for children within the last year. That's amazing. We went to the Spy Ninja headquarters, Sarah said. The Spy Ninjas are YouTubers that Joe is really fond of. So they have their headquarters in Las Vegas. We got to go there. It's been Joe's dream ever since they announced that they were building it. It's really amazing. We got to go to Hell's Kitchen, Joe said. That's Joe's other dream of going to Gordon Ramsay's restaurant out there, Sarah said. I ate the beef Wellington, Joe said. That's what they're famous for, Sarah said. Another one of Joe's dreams is to be a famous YouTuber. There are some videos on there from Joe's trip to Vegas, Sarah said. You can see what he got to do there. He started his channel pre-cancer diagnosis, and it's always been Joe's dream to be a famous YouTuber. He's quite interested in other YouTubers and their content. There are a few videos on there pre-cancer. It was super helpful to be able to get information out to people. People know you're in the hospital. They know that something's wrong. You have time to respond to all your family and friends who have lots of questions and are very concerned. It's been a blessing to be able to get that information out to people in a timely fashion. Joe has enjoyed getting to update people. Sarah is also a cancer survivor. She had breast cancer, which was treated with therapy, and now she is in remission. One of the things that I've noticed about having cancer is survivor guilt, Sarah said. It's a real thing. Even when it's your child who has cancer, you see these children on the same floor as you. You're so grateful that your child is doing so well. But then you meet families and you see these other children. They have all types of cancer, and we don't always know what's going on. Then you see that they aren't doing well, and they won't get better. Some of them, it's heartbreaking and terrifying, and that part is the most scary. You don't want it to enter your thoughts as a possibility. We keep going forward. We follow the calendar. We're trusting all these people who are our caregivers, our team. You have to trust that they know what they're doing and keep you on track. It's going to be all okay, even if it takes a few years. You're going to be okay. And just to finish up a few briefs, this from the entertainment section at our park, the upcoming July 17th show at the main stage called Legacy in Motion, celebrating Miles Davis at 100 with the John Lehrer Dance Company, John Bacon, and Star People. On the 19th, the Candlelight Concert featuring the BPO String Duo with piano accompaniment on the main stage. On July 22nd, Shaky Javes and Dope Lemon with special guest Texino, Texino at the amphitheater. On July 30th, Cole Swindell with Chase McDaniel in the amphitheater. And on August 4th, Terry Amos with special guest Barty's Strange. That on the main stage, all at Art Park, with more information available to you at artpark.net. You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from the July issue. That's July the 17th, actually, July 10th, issue of the Tribune Sentinel covering Niagara County and Grand Island. We read from the Tribune Sentinel every Saturday at 4 p.m. Your reader has been Rick Lawrence. Thank you very much for listening.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have the Lockport Union Sun and Journal. Following that at 6 o'clock is the Jamestown Post Journal. And at 7 o'clock, we have the Niagara Falls Review. Stay with us for these readings and more. If you or people you know shop at any of the Dash's supermarkets, please save Dash's register tapes for radio reading. Our agency receives $2 for every $100 in Dash's register tapes. Radio reading has raised thousands of dollars so far. Anyone can drop off their Dash's tapes to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service at 1199 Harlem Road, Cheektowaga, between William and Clinton Streets. Or Dash's tapes can be mailed to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service at 1199 Harlem Road, Cheektowaga, New York, 14227. Any questions on Dash's tapes for radio reading? Call us at 716-821-5555, and thanks for caring. following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability